twice. There. Let's put that in there. So this is out. Gotcha.
Okay.
Alright, so I apologize for that. Jitters is switching over originally to the Racers Elite set that I had set up. So I believe we should be good to go.
With that being said, Honeycutt still commands the lead here in the early going. Your pole sitter. Oh, look at that racing right there behind Diego Rodriguez, the HMFIC head cook, chief, and bottle washer, going up against. Big time moves there early, up close and personal. These two drivers not afraid to mix it up here at Darlington. But Ron, you got to be careful. Too much of that, you will burn off that right rear tire. And once you on for dear life, and especially in the series where it's been lean, mean, and green, that will make you pay even more of a premium. Is single file the way to go, especially if you're trying to maximize the distance out of those Goodyear Eagles. Is it Brandon Honeycutt? Diego Rodriguez currently resides in that second place position. Then, I believe this season participating at Darlington, the 93 of Lockett having a great run here in the early going. Teft resides in fourth in the Dark Horse Ford Mustang. Then you got Leroy in the 5. John Ross in the 44. Watch for him to come to the front. Ron, as you know, every time this man steps foot on the racetrack, he just drinks excellence.
Yeah, but stuff, I was looking here, one of the biggest things we got to watch here today, that I saw earlier, I don't know if maybe I missed something at the end of the practice run, but Christopher Pendle had one heck of a lap in practice. I'm not recalling what it was, but he was on top of the leaderboard, and that is going to be one of the drivers to watch here later in the run. He might actually come forward as he's making his way up there now. We're not going to highlight anything right now. We're not going to do the announcer's curse. It seems to always kill the broadcast curse of this series. So we're not going to put that on anybody tonight. Christopher Pendle had a great heater of a lap in practice, and we'll keep an eye on the number 94 Ford to see if he can come forward here at the end of this one.
Yeah, comparable to when you engaged White Drive in Star Wars. That's how quick that lap was. But as you said, we don't want to go down the broadcaster's curse road. So we go ahead and focus in on this battle between the 42 and Andrew Teft, just up the road from him. About 3 to 4 car lengths as they currently run right now. For a little Ford-on-Ford action right there on the racetrack. Another driver that's coming from deeper in the field that's really had a bit of momentum. He is on a heck of a streak, if you ask me, and that is Truth Hoke. Remember that wild finish from last week.
Yeah, last week's finish was something else, and very surprising in a lot of ways as things went down at the end of that event. And it's definitely, Truth waited so long on picking that up.
Absolutely. Big little wiggle there from the Nitrous Cowboy in the 3 machine. That'll certainly get your attention, and that means you're typically giving it a little too much ghost pepper sauce on the corner off there. So you'd be a little lighter. Throttle control is critical at this racetrack, especially as you start to wear in those tires. The 94 machine. Now, TRD powered machine. Let's see how patient that Dark Horse is. Oh, he gets loose off the top. Again, coming out of the turns 3 and 4 complex. That's going to open the door here. This is where you got to be extra careful. Tiptoe. You don't need a lot of throttle input, especially on that lower line. You're going to have the shortest distance around. However, the 3 is going to get a great run off the top. notice how the 94 there did not force the issue. He's being patient. He understands. Look, there's still a lot of laps left on the board. That's how you conquer this racetrack. That's how you don't let it beat you. Those patient decisions right there as the 94 continues to work off. Oh, he gets into the wall. Rod, let's go ahead and cut it. I don't even want to go down that road. Talking up a driver, and then things start happening. Once again, is now Alex Teft says, hey, I might have something for you. Throw the block, go back on the defensive, puts the dirty air right in the wake of that 43. Backing up the corner, able to get a good run back to the rear of that 3 machine. Good little 3-way battle going here.
Yeah, it looks like the right front of those tires are going into skater mode. As it seems like they're starting to skate a little bit too much on the entry to center of the corner. As you see, into the 20, and Diego Rodriguez is going to float up a little bit. You're going to get that tire a little hot, and it's not going to underperform on exit for you. And a lot of these drivers are starting to have a little bit of trouble getting to the center of the corner and finding the outside wall. There's a few of them are starting to do that, so it's not just onesies and twosies right now. It's becoming a lottie-dottie everything sort of thing. This at the lap 15 mark of the race, so looks to be. Well, we've had 2 different leaders thus far. As Brendan Honeycutt earlier, so I had the lead there while we were sifting through some audio issues, and Diego Rodriguez picking up the race lead. He's led 7 laps, so that's to split it, and Rodriguez is going to look to lead lap number 8. There's 8th lap this time by, as we'll begin lap 16.
That is right, lap 16 currently being written in the history books out of the scheduled 105 here for the series final here in the beautiful state of South Carolina. Ron, this racetrack broke ground after World War II and after, those grueling years in the South. They wanted something for people to smile about, and this was one man's dream, and boy, did they ever hit it out of the ballpark with this place. So much history, so much character here. In fact, the initial configuration of this place, you didn't run on the banking. That's why that perforated line is so far up the racetrack. It didn't take long for those drivers to figure out, hey, if I went up to the high side of this, there's more speed up there, and that's why this track has been widened out over the years. And turns 1 and 2, not like 3 and 4. The reason there was a retention pod off the back of the turns 3 and 4 complex, so they had to obviously make that turn a little bit tighter, which gives it this racetrack its iconic egg-shaped look, and also builds a lot of character out there on the racetrack. And since its first Cup race, this place is one of the most coveted trophies and stops on the circuit, even until this day, as everyone still continues to chase Rodriguez in the 20. It's the Rocket Locket currently in second, and your pole sitter, Honeycutt, now has slid back to third. The man on the roof is the boss, John Ross, who is now up to 4th place, Rod.
Yeah, I was watching. It looked like Curtis Eckers come down pit road. He's left the pits. He's on pit road for 44.7 seconds. His pit stop was 9.5, so I don't know if he was looking for right side tires and some fuel, or exactly what he was looking for down there, but we have had 1 taker on pit road so far during this race. It's going to be curious to see when the next set of stops, or when the actual first set of stops are going to be for our race leaders, as Curtis Ecker maybe had some damage now to come in, but I didn't see a meatball flag or anything, so fast repair not a option there. And actually looking here, he did use a fast repair, so that is when he came down. So Curtis Ecker had some damage, and potentially, I'm not sure when he received that damage, but I didn't see a meatball flag show up, so apparently maybe the car was to his liking. And looks like actually that damage might have even happened on lap 1 or even a pace lap. I don't know how he got that. Weird.
You said.
Yeah, pretty much. That's I was looking at some 1 degree and the green flag wasn't even out yet. That's how the meatball flag was cleared. So something happened on the pace lap, but he ended up with a meatball. Terrible to have to use that fast repair that early.
Christopher Pendle on the radio Talking about the amount of damage that he has on the front end of his race car, really hard for him to control and get through the corners. So look for Pendle to have to come down pit road and make repairs to that 94. Remember, folks, they have one fast repair in their back pocket. However, Rod, he's going to lose a lot of time, especially if he comes down there under green flag conditions. Almost shoot yourself in the foot in spite of a miracle.
Most definitely looking up front right now, the 93 of Zach Lockett is really in Diego Rodriguez, and looking to put that DC Design sponsored 93 potentially in the race lead as the 20 of Rodriguez getting a little bit dirty air, gets into the outside wall just a little bit, not a lot, but Brandon Honeycutt's also looking to follow. Oh, contact! We got a 3-wide battle for the lead!
Oh!
Wow!
What a move by these drivers. I don't think they wanted to go 3 wide. A little bit of a Code Brown moment there. But hey, everyone makes it through. Looking like the Blue Angels streaking through the sky here at Darlington. I'll tell you what, Rod, that was a beautiful sight, especially on the broadcast side of things. Those drivers, they were probably sweating to the oldies during that time.
Well, we spoke about this earlier, but Brandon Honeycutt third to first, and look who managed to make his way to the runner-up position. The 44, the boss, John Ross, is in second in the 44 Ford.
He is like that freight train, that locomotive. He is a coming, and you are not going to stop this man.
I think Brandon Honeycutt would like to think better of that situation that you're putting in front of him, but it's when Ross decides it's time to go, you look out, because the heat's packing, and we're looking at a Ford running down a Toyota right now. As Honeycutt, maybe your race leader, but John Ross is looking to be there when this round of pit stops comes up. And we're at the caution.
Oh, we got a problem. Truth Hope found where the Waffle House dumped the bacon grease. The back of that race car stepped out on him. On the radio, alerting the drivers as well, and that's going to throw the first yellow for incident on the evening. As we're now 26 laps into this thing, and just as the battle up front was getting good, the old boss man was making his presence known out there as he was starting to dial up the excitometer on Honeycutt. We're going to have to hit pause on that battle as we're going to slow things down here for the first time under yellow flag conditions for, I believe, a self-spin involving the 55 of Truth Hope, and this will also allow the 94 of Christopher Pendle to get some much-needed repairs done to that 94 machine, Rob.
Yeah, pretty lucky idea for him there. Is they always made it onto pit road safely. We'll take a look at the Insurance Center's incorporated instant replay here. Let's see if we can highlight Truth Hope and see if he had any help on his donut he decided to do. Brought us out to our first caution. So look here, and looks like he's going to try to go under Pendle. Oh, he had a little help there. There's a little wiggle behind the Sunoco sign. It's actually Pendle that's going to go around. And he caught it, but apparently there was enough axis rotation to reach the caution.
And remember, those caution flags, once iRacing feels that yellow should be thrown, there is no way to prevent that from happening. And with that updated logic since that most recent update, I don't know about you, Ron, but I feel like they have gotten a little bit looser with the frequency of the yellows. Previously, maybe not necessarily that particular incident, but as long as it was off the main racing line and off the racetrack, a lot of times you wouldn't see the yellow. Now we're starting to see a higher frequency of yellow flags when you do have that enabled in the session. As we watch all these drivers now come down pit road, as it's going to become the hottest place inside the building, as it's a mad dash to the pits.
Yeah, they made a mad dash to the pits as we catch back up to the live feed here with everybody back to the racetrack after their pit stop, and everybody has returned to the racing surface. And it looks like Brandon Honeycutt will be the first driver, so he will retain the race lead, and John Ross will be restarting on his outside. So we're right back where we started, or where we left off at before that caution. Here's, we're going to work lap 28. Go back to green flag on lap 29, so this time around. And it looks like, so right now your full field rundown is going to be Brandon Honeycutt, John Ross, Diego Rodriguez, Zach Lockett, Leroy Koblenz running at your top 5, Truth Hope 6th, Christopher Bindle is 7th, Andrew Temple 8th, Alex Temple is 9th, Troy Thomas is 10th, Hayden Malcolm 11th, Curtis Ecker rounding out your 12-car field right now. And those positions could jostle a little bit as we get on through. They're kind of back and forth here a little bit as they're doing a little seesaw motion with the inside and outside lanes. So it may not be 100% correct, but that is at least one position or another.
Yeah, I wonder what the 44 and the 13 are talking about right now. This is going to get pretty good. Honeycutt, one of the longtime greats, veterans of the series, and the new hot shot on the outside. Green flag in the air. Grab a gear, turn and burn. Let's get this thing back going. Drag race between the 44 and Diego. He shot out of a cannon. That's going to allow Honeycutt to squeeze free as he's the first car single file. Now Ross going to overpower the 20 on the top shelf as we're back to single file. Honeycutt able to gap the boss by about 0.7 of a second as he sends it deep into the corner on that one.
Yeah, Honeycutt able to take off to the race lead. He's gained about a half a second advantage getting out there. Ross taking over the second spot after a long fought turn 1 and 2 with Diego Rodriguez will settle into third. Zach Lockett in the fourth spot right now, and Truth Hook in fifth. And that's it'll be kind of comfy right now. It's still really early, and they're having enough problems trying to manage the center of the corner by themselves, let them trying to make passes.
That's a great point. And speaking of managing the corner, you've seen Honeycutt go do the jig coming off of 4. That has been the slick spot so far this race. Why is he driving so hard, you ask? Well, that's because that man behind him, that Dark Horse Mustang, has inflicted, literally, as he runs a 29.90, his fastest lap of the race. In fact, the lap to beat right now is Honeycutt, trying to keep on the afterburner and stay out in front of the 44. And if you got Honeycutt running this hard this early on tires, you betcha you have earned his respect. And clearly, they're going to have a little bit of a trade-off here. Now as John Ross steals it back from Honeycutt as he goes at 29.74. Rod, we got P1 and P2 duking it out here on the speed charts. And we're not even halfway through this thing.
Yeah, I'm looking for that time here to potentially not be as competitive unless they just come off of a fresh pit stop. So I look for that to kind of fade as it has already. 30.0 second laps now, so they lost a little over a quarter of a second in time as they were blistering these lap times down this heated up racetrack. And I look forward to seeing what they do on the next set of stops. I believe those lap times are actually looking back to the field now. Last time by 29.991, so he was even faster. The fastest car last time by the end he went in the 29-second bracket. We'll see if he can do it again here. It looks like he's going to fall into the 30-second bracket as well. It's been quite interesting here. Last time by fastest driver actually was the 93 of Zach Lockett, hit a 29.9. So we're just switching it up here.
Switching it up all over the place, and that is going to be the theme of this one until the end. Covers and goers, we're seeing it already on the speed charts, the positions on the racetrack. John Ross, biggest mover of the race, and him and Honeycutt in that Toyota who carries the torch in front are setting this race up for a great juggernaut showdown between the longtime veteran of the sport, or I should say of this series. When I first came in here, I found out who Brandon Honeycutt was really quick, and great side-by-side battle here as we shift gears back to that third and fourth place position. You got the Rocket Lockett throwing it back to Jeff Gordon there in that Camaro, and then on the outside, that Ford Mustang, the Michigan man, trying to roll it in high. The 93 is going to cover that spot and kind of take away his mojo there. Great defensive move from Zach Lockett, as that's going to make Diego Rodriguez re-rack, restack to try and overtake third, as that battle now dissipates for the time being. Up at the front of this thing, still a war raging between the 13 of Honeycutt and John Ross. Zach Lockett and Diego Rodriguez having their own variation of it. And then the man, the magic man, just behind them, Truth Hope. The 55 ride is in 5th, so thank him for your triple or your pick 3 lottery numbers, 5, 5, and 5. If you win, 30% goes to the 55 for providing you with those numbers this evening. Here's a guy, Ron, we've talked about it earlier this season. He couldn't buy a podium if his life depended on it, despite having solid performance in that race car. Something would always happen, whether if it was a fluke in pit roads, catching a race car to the face, a pedal issue, software. He just could not get a result that was indicative of his performance on the racetrack. And then about a month ago, it all changed. And he started clicking off wins, podiums at first, couple poles, and you could see how the confidence translated to the swagger and the performance out there on the racetrack. And then last week, my God, if you want to see one of the greatest finishings, and probably on the iRacing.com surface, you got to go back and check out that one, as he ultimately won the race. I'll tell you what, this battle right back behind him. Leroy in the 42 and Christopher Pendle. These two, side by side, door to door, and that allowed the boss man, Andrew Tepp, to close it, as now he works just about a half a car length off the bumper of that 42 just in front of him.
So I was watching there, when you talking about the Coke, and I saw a Coke Brown come up for the 90. I was like, there's about to be a pass, I better get on that. That's where I went with the camera. I was like, it's about to happen. Pendle about sent the 42 for a ride, and Goodwin's wouldn't have liked that, but there was a brake check and great driving effort by the 94 to keep the McDonald's Ford off of the 42 Ford.
Yeah, he's not talking about a code brown for Hershey syrup on pit road. That's after the race is over. We got to get there first, ladies and gentlemen. However, no harm, no foul, but it was close. A big time moment. That driver will remember that. I can assure you of that. As Pendle now has worked his way back up to that 6th place position, just outside the top 5. Truth Hope owns the keys, as he currently resides in that 5th place position, exactly where he started, as he runs about 2.65 seconds, or 2.65 seconds, off the pace of Honeycutt, who continues to lead here in the championship finale.
Yeah, I was talking to Andrew Tepp earlier in the race, and he's got to win this outright. And I don't know exactly what the other stipulations were for him to pick up the championship, but he was talking about not getting any bonuses. Well, as of right now, it's not looking too strong, as we got a battle for the race lead, as John Ross will take over the lead. Honeycutt threw a slide job move to the corner, held the line on the bottom. Honeycutt tried to back it up, was not able to pull the crossover and take it back. We'll see if he can get a good run here. Looks like Ross is going to continue to run the dominant liner on the speedway, and he'll dive into the corner, pull up to the outside wall, and diamond off as he comes down the back straightaway with the race lead. The 44 will lead for the first time here today.
The 44 decided it was time to retake the throne and the reins at the front of the field. Able to make work of Brandon Honeycutt as he slides now back to that 2nd place position. And I'll tell you what, the driver that has just been absolutely stellar every time he has jumped into a race this season is right back where you expect him to be, and at the front of this field. And then when I say expect, I mean that in a very tactful and professional manner, because the field, these competitors are darn good in this series. However, Ross has just been next level Superman, and he's pulling it off again right now as he has the cape and he's got the suit on in that race car, able to get around one of the drivers that makes his car feel like it's a mile wide at times, Brandon Honeycutt, who's so good at playing defense, and yet Ross was able to cut him like a precision laser out there on the racetrack. Is now those roles reverse. Honeycutt is now closing back in on that dark horse. as he tries to repay the favor to the 44. Perhaps a little mental chess match here going on as we currently work lap 47 of the scheduled 105.
Also during that little short stint there, Alex worked his way around the injury test position to great, so the tests have changed positions. I think I completely avoided your comment there during the caution about the way that iRacing handles these yellows, and I don't believe that Darlington is one of those self-feeding caution tracks. So when they spun out or got together and kind of lost control, if you will, is what brought the yellow out versus like Daytona or Talladega, where if you get off the racing surface and you're clear of the racing line and there's nobody on the lead lap coming or a certain X amount of cars in your vicinity, I don't believe that you would get any caution thrown for that. But we have here at Darlington tonight kind of broke our spree of having these long green flag runs. They've got a chance to do it here. We'll see if they can take it to the end from here.
That's a great point, Ron, and thank you for that. I've been living so much at the super speedways, sometimes you forget about those differentiations, and you're right on point. So thank you for the update there. And he's right. Should you self-spin, go for a ride, get hip check, poke check, someone just treats you like a redheaded stepchild. However you want to put it, if you cook the tires out there on the racetrack, you go flow rider right round, that yellow flag will fly. As Honeycutt catches a little bit of a piece of the wall there. However, Rob, these next gens are tough. You can get up there. Robin's racing with the wall, but you don't want to start pummeling that thing. Is the fragile point, the weak spot, are the toe links on this race car.
It'll take the right out of these things, and it'll do the hobble dobble jig bingo down to the bingo bango bongo, if you will, as they would say, like what was that movie? Meet the Fockers.
Yes.
And it'll look like it's doing just that dance as the drivers will bring it off the wall to pit road. I think we get that damage fixed, and it's like the Boeing backstretch. You know, maybe there's a little backstory. Why would they call it the Boeing backstretch in South Carolina?
Well, Boeing, big commercial airline manufacturer, that facility is basically right in their backyard.
This is facts that I don't know. I've never been to Darlington. I've been to multiple NASCAR tracks, but this one, not one of them. The closest I've been to this one has been Charlotte, and that's been quite some time ago as well.
Yeah, I've never been to this racetrack. However, I've drove past it. It's not that far off of Interstate 95. And great location. It's very easy to get to. It's not one of those racetracks where you got to hit a bunch of second and third tier roads through the mountains and makes it a bit treacherous. This racetrack, if you've never been there, it's really easy to get to. And I think that's also another part of the attraction to come here, is you don't have to worry about, well, being lost in the woods for several days, as that happened to my grandfather and I going to Pocono for the first time because he set his GPS to the shortest distance. And that's a story we could talk about after the race, Ron, but he almost made us drive over a bridge that didn't exist because, well, the GPS didn't know the bridge was out.
Over the river into the woods to Grandma's house we go, and that's
pretty much
one of those things that there is one of the local tracks I race at here on Friday nights when we go down there. There is when you pull into the racetrack entrance, I don't recall exactly what the sign says, but it says if your GPS says this is the road, it is wrong. Do not turn here.
He had us on an Amish logging route access road in a Cadillac. And the faces and looks we were getting, I will never forget. As I kept looking over and saying, Papa, this isn't right. We're not supposed to be here.
Well, at least you didn't need somebody that was going to tell you weren't supposed to be there.
Right. Needless to say, that was the last time he set the GPS on shortest distance.
I usually, when I set the GPS to go anywhere, I usually try to avoid all toll roads, and other than that, we're good to go. I don't care what else is in the way. We're gonna use those services to get there. But John Ross is cooking right now. He has a 1.5 second lead over the 13 Toyota of Brandon Honeycutt. And the boss, John Ross, is doing just what we call him here. He is bossing his way around this racetrack, has gained 10 spots in today's race, is your race leader, is in command. He has not led the most laps yet, but he is well on his way.
Someone needs to cue the Rick Ross in the background every time he takes the lead. He can work out. Well, hopefully he sticks around. As you know, another thing we got to thank him for his contribution on the broadcast side of things this season. Not only is he a force on the racetrack, he is the commander of the boom on the broadcast airwaves as well. And it's been phenomenal to work with him and be able to collaborate over the course of this past season. Gonna miss him as he transitions to driving more for the upcoming one, and I completely understand that. And that's something I hope to be able to do, is maybe do a little bit more driving. It's always good to get back out there on the racetrack. iRacing, everything changes so much. And you get caught up here in the booth too long, you
A little stale. Like a old bag of
solar
chips.
curve. And I totally understand what. Exactly, like a stale bag of Pringles.
Hey, now back up a minute. Pringles don't come in a bag. I gotta throw you under there. Something. Alex Tepp is now on the move once again, and this time he's getting around Truth Hoke. So Alex Tepp is coming to life here late in the going. Saves some Dr. Feelgood rubber, and he is using that power to his advantage and making up some ground here. And it looks like that may also help him potentially on a green flag set of stops if he can get a green flag pit stop coming up. So Alex Tepp is pushing forward here from lap 60. We'll see just how that's going to go, as we are 33 laps from the last pit stop. So,
I'll tell you what, Rod, talking about pushing forward, Dr. Feelgood, you almost make it sound like he has KY Intense as a sponsor on that race car out there tonight. However, that is not the case. I believe it's Panda Express on the 43 tonight, but nonetheless, he has got some great long run speed in that Toyota. And that's, you know what, to be fair, that's kind of been a calling card for him at times over the course of this season, as he just goes up there and kind of murks the fence lightly, but he still hit the wall. And that's going to allow Truth Hoke to close in a little bit out of his. Now that lead stabilizes at about 3.5 tenths of a second as they continue to battle for that fifth place position.
I don't know if him lightly tapping the wall is going to hurt him here. It almost looked like he used the wall to diamond that car off the corner very lightly. And he can do that very, very minimally. Looks like
Truth Hoke tries it that lap.
I heard it happen. And Troy Thomas is on pit road, so we got our first stop for this set of stops as the number 3, the Nitrous Cowboy. He's on pit road with that number 3 Toyota, so he's going to return from pit road here, and it looks like he was able to get to and off the pit road penalty free, which is a very key play in making their way through this, as they've got 43 laps to go. And this race is going by quick fast, and there is 94 of Pendle. Looks like he's got company, and it may be the 42 as Pendle gets in the outside wall, and Koblenz is able to keep it off of it, but it looked like the 94 of Pendle was able to get more momentum off the wall than he was to actually drive off the wall.
I'll tell you what, sometimes it appears that way, and other times you get lucky. I mean, if you've ever ran, sorry to change the thought vote, I got a big microphone of Curtis Ecker in my ear, screaming he is pitting this time, so I apologize for that, as he basically gave me a code brown up here in the broadcast booth. It was so loud. I got to turn the radio chatter down. But getting back to what I was saying, sometimes you get lucky, Roddy. You ping it off the wall like ping pong or pinball, and you gain some speed, some momentum. Other times, you hit it the wrong way, and you bend a toe link and A-arm, you kick the toe out on that race car. So you got to be careful, and don't let that fool you into becoming the norm as those tires wear, because I'm telling you, I've seen it happen time after time. You start utilizing that wall a little bit, not as a competition advantage per se, but just to help that car turn a little bit. And that one time when it counts the most is when a suspension component is going to fail and it blows up in your face. great battle heating back up here now between Leroy in the 42 and the 94 of Christopher Pendle. Leroy turned more laps out there in practice than anybody. He was beating the gate down as this place opened for practice, and I believe he ran almost 250 laps, and that was in the practice session. So you can tell how important this race was to him.
Yeah, most definitely. He beat the door down. Oh, Koblenz drives in extra hard, gets in the outside retaining wall. I was looking for John Ross there when we had the pit road there. It seemed like he was slowing down a really, really big bunch all at once, and got passed by a couple of drivers before he was on the road. I'm going to assume that somebody slowed down on the bottom, but on the track map when I looked at it, it seemed like they were going by him on the inside, and I thought, that can't be right. What is going on? And he was actually going to he was on the apron, slowing himself down, but Christopher Pendle's going to step that out there. Brandon Honeycutt is back out front in the race lead, has yet to make that second pit stop. So we're still waiting on about six drivers to make that second stop. So actually Leroy Koblenz is coming down right now, and I imagine it's going to be very
Oh my God. Not to cut you off there, but I'm getting a report that John Ross has crashed. Cannot confirm if this is correct. I don't. Just seeing that pop up in the black box, Ron, just gives you chills, and obviously it piques curiosity, but that's what I'm seeing here on my end, that the 44 has had some type of an incident out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, most definitely something has happened to him. I've tried to look, but he has dropped and has scored 12th at the moment. I don't see him in the racing service.
Oh, he has flux capacitor to the pits. The 44 is now being scored in 12th place position. Huge development here at about the halfway point of this race. Or, excuse me, well past the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, we're 36 to go right now, and it's not looking good. I'm not sure. I'm going to see if I can queue up a replay here on what happened to John Ross.
And while Ron works on that, as Brandon Honeycutt is now going to pull it down pit road, your leader. As we now cycle back to the instant replay, keep your eye on that 44 as he comes off pit road. Did he step on his own Triscuits here and get it up to speed? And that looks okay. Something is very wrong. He's going to lock it down, and he is going to bail. So that tells me either something broke on that race car, or he had a little bit of a personal priority that has arose and had to, unfortunately, leave this race. Remember, there's a lot of severe weather going on across the country. A multi-day severe weather event. Maybe that has something to do with it. But just saying, the way that he came back onto the racetrack and abruptly stopped that race car and bailed tells me that something may have required his attention, Rob.
I'm looking for something here. I'm not sure what it is exactly yet. But there was a black flag issued to John Ross on lap 66. And I believe that is the lap he was coming off of pit road. And I'm not sure if he missed the commitment to come back to the racetrack, or if I'm not sure what the black flag was for. It was, I think he might have got busted for speeding leaving pit road, and at that point he just knew it was over.
Well, that's another thing too. I guess you wouldn't automatically think or even go there, just as good as Ross has been. However, I can confirm you are correct. The 44 busted for speeding on pit road, and one of the biggest mistakes that Ross has made all season, cripples him at the biggest moment of the year as he puts it on the hauler. And one of the favorite, go ahead.
That's another developing story here from Buckcock Motorsports in the chat here on YouTube. Says that he may have had a good reason for speeding, and he got pulled over for a speeding ticket. He had to leave due to a tornado. So best of wishes to him and him to stay safe.
What was I just saying before? Again, folks, if you're listening right now, again, I know I've put it in a few Discords, but this is an unprecedented, historically, go down in history, severe weather outbreak, multi-day, over the same states. If you're in Tennessee, Arkansas, then tomorrow shifting further south into Alabama, Mississippi, all the way. This is going to go all the way into Saturday until finally this thing ejects over the northern Florida peninsula. You're going to have potential for severe weather, tornadoes, hail, high precipitation, flash flooding, all modes. And I was afraid that may have been part of the problem. And just hope John Ross and his family are safe right now as we continue to charge on with this race. Is Christopher Pendle now being scored as the leader, however, also on pit road.
Your leader as he goes to pit road, and it's transition to Andrew Teft. So the boss man is out front, your race leader. He has pitted for his second time. Pendle will be, this was for your race leader, as now he's going to drop now as Andrew Teft and Diego Rodriguez take over at the helm. And Andrew Teft doing what he said he needed to do, and he is in position to go potentially the rest of the way. It's been 19 laps since his last pit stop, so we'll see how this goes for the 98 as he rolls through.
Tell you what, Andrew Teft needs to be what's on the hood of that race car. He just needs to be elite tonight. What does that entail? Perfect out there on the racetrack and a cut above the rest. Keep that car out of the wall. Give and take out there on the racetrack. Be precise, precision with your inputs on the throttle, the binders, and easy on that steering wheel. Race the racetrack. Don't race yourself. Execute on pit road. And even though he doesn't have lightning speed in that race car because he is doing what Ron just said, here he is, finds himself in the lead. 4/10 to the good out of that hard-charging and closing Diego Rodriguez. However, Teft currently in the lead right now. Look at the 20, literally put it on a Tony Hawk rails grinder on the high side. Then he goes to turn underneath him, and he is going to take the spot rather easily from Teft. Is that position for the lead, cycles and changes once again. Check the box. The 20 carries the torch here at Darlington, Ron.
Yeah, I was going to say that was one of the greatest moments that we had going on there. Diego Rodriguez was behind a lap, or it might have been a lap car, might have been Honeycutt at the time, but Honeycutt's now moving forward. I believe Andrew Teft's pit stop timing is Dr. Feelgoods are starting to feel Dr. Phil tight, and he's having to give up a lot of speed and momentum to the center of the corner as Diego Rodriguez and Brendan Honeycutt able to take over the top two spots here with 26 laps to go. That's as we can check here, Alan. It's not on Matt tonight. I'm actually running the helm, so I actually have my microphone turned down a little bit. I might not have had it in the best position as we were rolling forward here, but thank you for the comment. Hopefully my slight adjustment is working out better for you there on the feed. But right now, it's Diego Rodriguez. He's out front. Can Brandon Honeycutt reel him into the 13 Toyota and take over the lead? We'll see here in the last 25 laps. We're going to find out who's on top here. And we'll have to watch and see and make sure that maybe we don't get that dreaded greeted yellow before this is over, as we'd like to see this go green and see how that green flag stop plays into the finish of this race. As Brandon Honeycutt looks to the inside of the 20 of Diego Rodriguez, and he's going to take the race lead off of turn number 4 at the line. Give Brandon Honeycutt the lap.
2 by 2, side by side. John for special out of the turns 3 and 4 complex as they drag race past Barty in the checkered flag stand. Brandon Honeycutt's going to keep his foot on the live wire and slingshot past Diego Rodriguez once again to retake that first place position. And Ron, I don't even want to go here, but there's a driver behind him in that 20 that probably is still stuck in last week, given what happened to him on that racetrack. I mean, you want to talk about the most freakish, berserk, and absurd way you can lose a race. I mean, there is no better textbook visual representation of that than last week's outcome at Gateway. If I'm in that race car right now, sitting in this position, I'm having a hard time keeping out of that, from that thought process from going across my mind. It is still there, and it's going to wreak havoc on me probably for quite some time. But here he is again outside of that. Rodriguez doing what he has done all season long, and that is execute out there on the racetrack and being able to find speed in that dark horse in the later stages of this race as he's up 4 positions, a little bit quicker than Honeycutt. Only about maybe a hundredth of a second that last time by, but nonetheless quicker. Honeycutt has the fresher tires, though. Honeycutt down on lap 70. Rodriguez lap 66. And with as aggressive as the track surface is out there, this place acts like a cheese grater on those tires. That could be part of the formula here for Honeycutt to keep the 20 at bay as he starts now to slide back and hemorrhage some time to your leader.
I'd say the fastest driver last time by was actually Christopher Pendle, but he is way far behind the 8 ball right now and would need a caution, or for any of these drivers to go to pit road for him to have a shot at this right now. But Pendle, the lap before that was a 29-second lap. This lap was a 30.052, and it's a little bit slower as Alex Tepp bursted out at 29.92 last time by. And we'll see what Pendle will put in here as he rolls across the line, but he's going to slow down even more, 2.85, so now he's looking more like the race pace. And that's not going to help him get back to the front of this one. And looks like... Okay. Alright, so Brendan Honeycutt still your race leader. Diego Rodriguez in second right now. Zach Lockett in the 3rd spot. Andrew Teft is 4th, and running at your top 5 is the 42 of Leroy Koblenz. So the field pretty much single file right now. Not a lot of passing going on. I think the last pass we had was 3 laps ago when Zach Lockett passed Andrew Teft for position 3. And these drivers going to be burning up these tires, and I don't think anybody's really able to save a whole lot right now, being 18 laps left in the race as they cross the start-finish line. See who's got the most tire left here in the top 5 before this one's all said and done, though, because we're going to have to see some very desperate moves probably be played before this one's all over with. See, Alex definitely Thomas for position 7. That would have been this lap here. So,
yes, sir.
Interesting pass there. Looks like the 98 of Teft is getting the challenge here potentially from Leroy Koblenz. Actually, that was a lap car.
Oh, the 91 goes up there and high-fives the fence. Hayden Malcolm almost lost it coming off the corner, able to grab that Camaro and yank it back out of the racetrack at the last minute. So you can tell these cars, they're becoming a handful right now. You know, already to begin with this fixed setup, it's designed from iRacing to operate at 100% fuel capacity. So when you take a fixed setup and throw fuel reduction in it, like most fixed setup leagues do, 65, 75% fuel, you're affecting the balance of this race car, and you're making it more front heavy, which is going to make this race car tight to begin with. It's going to want to naturally burn up the right front tire, and at a place like here as the 91 goes up there and buries it into the safer barrier, it makes the race car want to do exactly what we just seen, especially as you get some laps on the tires, and that is go up there and eat the fence. It just will not turn. You have to really back this corner up to get this next gen to rotate when you have track conditions like this, and you can see it really starting to stress and test these drivers. The guys who are doing it the best right now, Honeycutt, Rodriguez, and Lockett, as they run 1, 2, 3, and look at this mess on the racetrack.
Yeah, there was a pass for position in that as well, as Leroy Koblenz took over position 4, Truth Hook went to 5th, Andrew Teft falls to 6th. So Truth Hook clicks back into the top 5 in the Wrangler 55 ride, and they're just playing a very treacherous game, and this is what we call it on the dirt racing side of things, we call the cushion the thin line between fast and broken, and it seems to be the same here at Darlington as they get up against that wall, and it is a very, very thin line of whether they're faster in the wall and broke.
Yeah, you don't want to turn it into parts corner, that's for certain. And if you notice, I didn't even comment about that lead change. We know we know what driver that involved in. I have KO'd him plenty of times this season. I'll tell you what, though, that practice is really pay it off for Leroy in the 42. He's having a great run here tonight in that 4th place position, as he now bests Truth Hoke, last week's winner. Still having a great run nonetheless. This for that 5th place position, of course. Or excuse me, that 4th place position. Leroy has it. Truth wants it. You can see him trying to back the corner up, trying to dive in the corner a little bit, trying to find a way to put the power down. As he just probably had a little bit of a pucker inside the cockpit of that race car. They're going to have to get skinny. Look at what the 42 did there. He said, you know what? You're quicker than me. I'm going to burp the throttle. And versus you have to force it in there and clear us both out. We're both going to live to survive another day. Great heads-up driving there by the 42 as they flip-flop positions, Ron.
Yeah, most definitely. Unless there's a caution, I believe Truth Hook may have just taken his last pass position here in this race. As Zach Lockett, Diego Rodriguez, and Brandon Honeycutt are in a zip code of their own right now. As Truth Hook just about now going to reach the start-finish line, and your race leaders are working around the turn 2. So that gap is very, very extensive. And I don't believe, unless one of those 3 pits or has some sort of substantial incident, I believe Truth Hook may be locked into 4th place. But we won't say who's going to finish where right now, because we still have 10 laps to go, and Brandon Honeycutt, Diego Rodriguez, and Zach Lockett are still going to try and battle this out for every bit they can get out of this championship event here at Darlington. And Honeycutt's kind of set sail, but one mistake, and it could potentially be the pass for the lead. As we all know, Diego Rodriguez is Michigan man number 20. Ford is on a rail as well as the Rocket Zach Lockett, the 93 Chevy. He will find his way to the front as well if he's given any kind of opportunity.
10 laps to go now. 9 is the gentleman's handshake lap comes off the board, which means we are in the single digits for the final time this season. Large in charge, Honeycutt. He has leaps and bounds, or heck, a couple counties ahead of the closest competition, who is Diego Rodriguez, currently about 2.3 seconds back. And then a battle that's brewing, though, for that 2nd place position between the Rocket, and Rodriguez, as Brandon Honeycutt continues to have this thing on cruise control. However, Rod, how many times have we seen this scenario play out? Everything's calm. It looks like said person is in position to ride off into the sunset, and then Grandma shows up and just blows the thing wide open, and we have a nail biter to the end. And we've learned this season, it is never over until it's over.
Yeah, and Grandma tonight might look like the Nitrous Cowboy of Troy Thomas. So, I mean, we could be in for one heck of a circus at the end of this thing for sure.
You know, speaking of that, Grandma, you better put that PBR down. All that nitrous earlier, your blood pressure, honey.
Right on. I was looking here at this. He's actually, Troy Thomas, going to pull down out of the way of the race leader. So the nitrous not going to be the issue here tonight, at least for your race leader, Brandon Honeycutt. But another driver on the move here as of late, lap 80. So I think it's lap 80. Let's do lap 80. Alex Teff posted down the fastest lap of the race, kicked off an overall best of a 29.596, and he was strolling when he got that set of tires.
Uh-oh. Something happened on the racetrack. In fact, nothing there, really, just Darlington doing Darlington things. As we now have punched through the century mark here as far as the laps are concerned. As lap 101 comes down, lap 102 goes up on the board for the TRD-powered machine. And like the marketing slogan says, let's go places. Brandon Honeycutt has taken it to the front and has carried the torch and is riding off into the sunset here in the beautiful state of South Carolina. And right now for the 13, he just needs to hit his marks. He does not have to go out there and push it. He does not have to try and run qualifying laps. He just needs a couple solid corners and a couple more miles under his belt. And Rod, he will become the winner of the final race of the season and a coveted one here at the beautiful Darlington, South Carolina Raceway.
Yeah, looking to pick up the wins So Brandon Honeycutt with 3 laps to go, 2 to go as he works his way off at turn number 4. As he rolls through the middle of 3 and 4 now. Roll off of 4 and looking good so far for the Pals 13. As he is out front. Kind of loud, proud, and in charge. 13 looking strong here at Darlington for sure.
In the words of that's right, popsicle sticks in the air for Brandon Honeycutt, who's going to keep on rolling, baby, down the Boeing backstretch. Not bowling, that's Watkins Glen. We'll save that for another time as he now rolls it through the high side and then arcs it down to the turns 3 and 4 complex. One more time to go. White flag in the air for Brandon Honeycutt.
A 3.5 second lead into turn 1. Looking strong. He's going to hope he's got enough go-go juice left in the tank. Last pit stop 34 laps ago. Should not be a problem here as we got drivers going 40 laps since their last stop. Still rolling on the racetrack as he rolls into turns 3 and 4 for the final time here at the Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina. Off of turn 4, Brandon Honeycutt will bring it home. Down the front straightaway to the checkered flag past the Geico restart zone. And we go checkered flag for Brandon Honeycutt here at Darlington.
Checkered flag for Brandon Honeycutt. How fitting for a driver of his caliber to win here. However, Diego Rodriguez, I believe, will be crowned the champion of the Next Gen Series with a finish of 2nd place. So you're looking at it right here, folks. Brandon Honeycutt, your race winner and championship leader, and obviously of this series, Diego Rodriguez. So we should have the 20 and the 13 burning it down here as we close this year out. This right here, a type of win, a racetrack that really solidifies who Brandon Honeycutt is as a race car driver. Everything that he does so well is going to be magnified at a place like this. And I am not surprised one bit that he is in victory lane as he burns the house down, gets the rest of the good out of those good years. You don't need them anymore, man. Use it. Maybe we'll get a little Ford on Toyota action, a little dueling burnouts, if you will. Actually, we got a couple of cars down there giving them a show. And why not? Hey, it's Darlington after all. The more the merrier.
Yeah, most definitely. As I say, the movers and shakers are out of the way, and Brandon Honeycutt locks down first place after starting on the pole and comes home with the race wins. How about that?
I wonder if we'll actually get to talk to him. Now, keep in mind, Brandon Honeycutt does not appear to like to be interviewed, and I respect that decision, but hey, it's the final race of the season, maybe, just maybe, but we know for certain our champion, Diego Rodriguez, will be joining up here in the booth momentarily as he's going to melt those Goodyear tires down to lava. There can't be much left now. In fact, he might be burning the rims right off of the hubs. He is still smoking the bejesus out of those tires, and there goes the engine.
I was gonna say the water is boiling out. The temperature's through the roof. Things are hot and heavy in the 20 car, and a celebratory hot and heavy, not a heated hot and heavy as far as attitude adjustment needed in the 20. But
it looked like Back to the Future when he hit the flux capacitor when the road was on fire. That's basically what is left of the rear tires on the 20. As he went out with a bang.
Bang was right. Tow truck to the front stretch. Love to see drivers having fun at the end of a race. It just goes to show after that long race, they get in a long season for Rodriguez. He deserves to burn it down and put that number 20 on the championship podium at the end. As far as everything being done here with the season.
Absolutely, and this moment right here for Rodriguez will make last week a little bit easier to digest. As very deserving individual deserves this championship. He's been there time and time again. We've seen him perform and execute on all the different various configurations, the short tracks, the intermediates, the super speedways, your pinnacle ones, the challenging ones, like Darlington here tonight. And he is a very deserving of that title. Is he now going to climb out of that race car? And Ron, I believe we should be talking to him here sooner than later as we now transition to post-race coverage right here on Racers Elite Network.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and pull Diego Rodriguez and chat with him if you want to talk with our points championship.
Absolutely.
On our race winners, since they're well, I don't think we're gonna get Honeycutt, but we'll have Lockett. And, Rodriguez was second anyway, so we'll go ahead and pull him and talk to him about both of those, and then we'll pull.
All right. Joining us now in the Tony Trepass Memorial broadcast booth, it's the Rocket, Zach Lockett, coming home in that third place position. Matt and Ron up in the booth. You got a copy there, Hotshot?
Hey, sure do.
Hey, brother. Well, first and foremost, congratulations on a standout run here in the final bout of the season. Darlington, this racetrack highly acclaimed, highly respected, but also treacherous on the race car, the Goodyear Eagles, and a lot of times the patience of drivers out there. We've seen how this place can beat you and eat you up. It's not called the Lady in Black for nothing. How are you able to tame the racetrack, survive and be alive, and come home to a great finish this evening?
Yeah, it was definitely slick out there. I think it was around 120 degrees the whole race, so really
Yes,
had to had to back up the turns there and try to get as much out of the center of 1 and 2 and let it I was kind of diamonding it in 3 and 4 and letting it turn back down the racetrack. But yeah, I mean it's a great place to have the last race of the year in the championship race, especially with how close it was, just because I think the best driver is going to come out with the best finish here, definitely in terms of the championship as well, and I think Diego did that today. So congrats to Diego. I think I finished 3 points behind him, so I can see already where I messed up not getting the pole last week when I thought I could get the pole there and not having the fastest lap, and I wish I got the pole here today. But those bonus points can haunt you. So yeah, overall really happy with my season here, and happy to throw it back to Jeff Gordon this week. It was a really cool ride, and overall, yeah, really happy with the finish. But you never know how many times you're going to be in a championship battle. So it's bittersweet to lose, but it's also really motivating to hopefully get it next time.
Hey, well said. I couldn't agree with you more. You don't want to take these opportunities, these moments for granted, but it's always feels great to be out there and part of and in contention to be there when it matters the most, and certainly keeps the batteries recharged and invigorated for next season when that time comes around again. Regarding the paint scheme, that was my next question for you. You're reading my mind there. Obviously, that color is made famous by the star of the late 90s, early 2000s, Jeff Gordon. Obviously, were you a Gordon fan growing up, or what does that paint scheme mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in 1995.
Okay.
I have a twin brother who also loved NASCAR growing up, and funny enough, I was a Dale Earnhardt fan, and he was a Jeff Gordon fan. So these colors in general mean a lot to us. And anytime I can throw it back to the early 2000s and that prime era of NASCAR, I'll always give a shot to do that. And had it made here really because he's not on iRacing yet. So I had this made, and I sent it over to him, and I'm like, hey man, you get on iRacing, we'll get you a paint scheme like this. You can pretend to be Jeff Gordon like we used to when we were little. So,
That's awesome.
kind of a shout out to him. And overall, I mean, I think this is, of course, one of the most iconic schemes. I think behind the Good Wrench number 3, and it was either between Good Wrench number 3 or this car. So, I went with this car, and we'll use it for a little while as a throwback scheme, but eventually I'll get a Good Wrench car and an Oreo Dale Earnhardt car, and all those classic cars. So just flames never go out of style, man. So I had to get it done here.
You're going coveted status there with those 3 different paint schemes, but I could not agree with you more. The funniest thing about that, from a fan perspective, if you liked Jeff Gordon, you hated Dale Earnhardt and vice versa. But and a lot of us, I guess, we just didn't realize at the time, behind the scenes, Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt were kind of buddies. They hung out. They spent time talking to one another. In front of the camera, though, they kind of played into it. But those drivers had a lot of respect for each other. And my God, do I miss those days out there on the racetrack.
That Unrivaled documentary was, I'm sure you've seen that. It was amazing.
It was. But, I'm going to touch base on this really quick here, and I'll turn it over to you. It's those times that we need now more than ever in this sport. You don't have the characters. You don't have you don't have those not want to say villains, but you don't have the personalities, and I
100%.
think that's what's lacking the sport the most today. You don't have those sides, you don't have that energy, that fierce competition, something to provoke it one way or the other. Mark Martin was talking about it, but man, were those good times. And Zach,
It was.
absolutely, brother. And before I cut you loose, man, thanks for throwing it back to the Rainbow Warriors. Great to see that car out there on the racetrack. For the final time, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on that 93 machine?
Yeah, right before I do that, I just want to also say, in terms of the throwback, just to add to this, something I'm passionate about as well is just the overall paint schemes in NASCAR Cup today. I mean, no one's going to remember the Freeway.com Daniel Suarez car and the Build Submarines car of Ryan Preece. Like, I wish these guys would come out with the same sponsors, same car designs every week, and there'd be something that could be iconic, like the Flames, like the Black Goodwrench car. Like, not changing that every week, but that's a story for a different time. But anyways, yeah, I want to thank you guys here for a great season and always coming out here and being energetic and being enthusiastic here in the booth. My teammates at SimMotion and Adrenaline Racing, John Ross, Leroy, Josh Freed, who couldn't be here tonight. Really appreciate them, and everyone in the league here for putting it on. I won't be able to race next season on Thursdays, but we'll be back here eventually here in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. So thanks to everyone, and it was a great season. So really appreciate you guys.
Hey, we appreciate the kind words, Zach, and how could we not be fired up when you're out there with the afterburner lit, ripping it up, tearing it up, or as Cletus McFarland would say, let her rip tater chip out there on the racetrack each and every time you strapped into that thing. You're driving along with the other competitors out there on the racetrack. Give us that catalyst to thrive off of, and we cannot do it without you guys. And it's a pleasure to have you here this season, talking to you up here in the booth over the course of our run throughout the course of this year. Sucks that it's over, but as you know, it's starting up again really soon, and we look forward to watching you back out on the racetrack here in the upcoming weeks.
So much, and thanks for the nickname, Zach Lockett the Rocket. I appreciate that. I love using that now. It's a great nickname. I appreciate it.
It actually has some purpose behind it. Sometimes a nickname, hey, you just throw it out there, but your nickname, I mean, that is very indicative of you out there on the racetrack, my friend. We'll put you back in the waiting room, and you have a great rest of the evening.
You too. Thanks.
Ron, always appreciate Zach Lockett joining us up here in the booth. And I know that was a little extended, but hey, it's the final time this season. These guys have been dishing it out on the racetrack all year long. Why not go ahead and now pull up? Joining us now, the next gen champion, driver of the Dark Horse Ford Mustang, Diego Rodriguez. Welcome to the Toyota Fast Memorial broadcast booth. Ron is standing by with you, sir.
Yeah, great run for Diego Rodriguez tonight. Able to come up with a second place finish, but that's kind of a little icing on the cake here to round out the season, to pick up the points championship as well. So a great run for the 24 tonight, but you got to feel even much better to pick up the points championship, Diego.
Yeah, it does. Came into I just a lot of work. Like, I have too much I want to talk about, too much going on. But coming into this race, I didn't expect to perform well, and I didn't throughout the race. I kept making mistakes. I got in the wall too many times. Surprised the right side part of the car was still even there. But I just kept Zach. Zach was my main focus. I could care less about the lead. Zach was the only one who was close to me in points, and that was my whole race. Just staying in front of him or behind him on the last run there. I pit early so I can get an undercut on him, come out in front of him, and he wasn't able to get around me. I just kept blocking him. I wasn't letting him around because I didn't want him to get around me and then go catch the 13 and get the win.
Yeah, it's one of the main key points tonight was mainly just staying out of trouble and being able to stay in front of Zach Lockett. And another big one tonight was Andrew Teft. Andrew's told me that earlier, before the race even started, that if he could have won this thing outright and picked up the win, he could have potentially took the point lead, but not by much, and it would have been what he had to do to get it done. But fortunately for you, you're able to come up with the second place finish, hold on Zach Lockett, and keep his points at bay. and come home with the championship and still find yourself here on the podium. So a great end of the season for the Dark Horse Ford 20 of Rodriguez here. So great run. Anybody you'd like to thank? You said you had a lot to talk about. I mean, the microphone's yours. I'm not going to push you out of here. You got the floor, brother. I mean, championship plus a second place finish. It's whatever you want to talk about. It's yours, man.
Yeah, I mean, I came in here this league last year, so I've only been here for a year, and I struggled to even get top tens. And this past season, and maybe even the season before that, I really started performing well and getting more podiums and leading laps and getting a few poles here and there, but not getting the wins. And this season, I've got 3 wins this season, so it's my best season so far. And I'm hoping that I can take the momentum that I have now and carry it on into the next season.
Yeah, most definitely. Hopefully look forward to being here for that. I know the broadcasting schedule is wide open for anybody to take anything right now, according to Andrew Teft, the boss man in charge. And hopefully, I know I usually get busy throughout the summer, so I'm trying to anticipate what I want to do and how far we want to carry this. But hopefully we're able to be here and do this. Maybe switch off with Matt if we have to. If he's gonna come back, we'll talk about those behind the scenes. And man, a great championship for you, Diego, and a great second place finish. Anybody would like to thank help you pick up a championship and a podium tonight at Darlington?
Yeah. I mean, I gotta thank Andrew. He puts on this league every week, and it's really good. It's clean. We only had 1 caution tonight. I think we've only had a few cautions this entire season, which is impressive. And I gotta thank you guys. You put on a really good broadcast every week. And then I gotta thank my parents. They love watching me do this. They love watching the broadcast, and I just gotta thank them for it. And that's it.
All right, Diego. Congratulations on the points championship in the 20 Ford, and a great season and a great race here tonight. Great second place finish, and we hope to see you with another great season coming up here as we get ready to kick things off next season as well.
Yep. Thank you.
That is Diego Rodriguez picking up the points championship in second place finish once again. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here, and this is the Racers Elite Network, because I almost called out my own network. We'll thank the Hardy Sports TV sponsors on the way out. Thanks to all the Racers Elite Network sponsors, all the fans that have tuned in each and every week here with the Racers Elite Network, and with me and Matt Metler as Ron Piles on the call, and we will look forward to seeing you guys next season. It's been a great one. And we look forward to the great things that the Racers Elite Network brings forth here as we get ready for a new season.
Hardy Sports TV would like to thank all of its supporters. Insurance Centers Incorporated, Genmar Services in Reedsville, West Virginia, Slick Products USA, Jeff Scott and the gang at the Ford Entertainment Group at FEGPC.net. BladeNerd.com, simple web solutions powered by nerds. Jeff Brown at iRacing iFlag. Braden Dillinger at Throttle Smashers Performance in Dawson, Pennsylvania. Renegade Race Fuels. Premier Racing Setups. TrackCams22.com for asphalt oval and all course style cameras. SimRatMarket.com for dirt oval cameras. Thanks for watching this broadcast. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time on Hardy Sports TV.